Hello and welcome! M30M Tavern is open. I did some cute remodeling stuff over the long weekend that I took, and I'm excited to show you guys what I have in store and all the little upgrades that Ricky and I talked about and implemented. But for now, I'm gonna just double check all my things. I see hindsight's already here. Hello. I moved all my buttons around. I gotta give you your confetti. But yeah, I'm really excited for today's stream. Let's see, today is Wednesday. I was gonna say I hope you guys had a lovely weekend, but it's a little late for that. I usually stream again on Monday, so my internal clock is a little off, especially with daylight savings too. But yeah, really excited to talk about today's stream and get this going. I know whenever I start my stream, YouTube likes to sneak in an ad. So I like to kind of give it a couple minutes or so. Well, I feel like it's been minutes. We're good. Alrighty. So yeah, welcome to M30M Tavern. I'm officially your guys' tavern keeper, and we have some better structuring going on here. We have some little upgrades with the signs you can see that's kind of a bit more cohesive and nice looking. And then as well, I know a lot of you guys, when you watch, you kind of look up every now and then, kind of see where we're at and what's been updated. But if you're joining the stream, or let's say you stepped out to get a snack or whatever, it can be really hard to know what exactly is going on. So we have nice little sections prepared for y'all of what is going on when. So obviously, doors open is first. And then this first bit is kind of like this warm-up period. I'm gonna work on a model, just get a little bit done on something else for the next 30 minutes or so. And then the poll that's active right now will determine what I actually work on. Currently the Hodag cryptid from Wisconsin's in the lead, so that's why we have that pin here as our current bar request. But that will change the Halfling Monk if that ends up winning. But yeah, the little beer at the bottom will actually slide all the way as if I'm serving up a drink until it gets to the next section. You can always tell what section that we're at by looking at the very top here, like it says doors open right now. So that's our warm-up period. But yeah, it's cute. It's like a little progress bar at the bottom. So the streams are going to be longer now and just a bit more structured overall. It goes from doors open to Tavern Keeper's Craft, which is the main project for that day. Then I have a happy hour, which is going to be a different little, kind of like a palette cleanser, like a fun little spin-off project every day. And then finally last call. Last call just for me to kind of hang out with you guys, maybe work on anything else I've already showed you guys in the stream, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's kind of the plan we got for today. I see Ella's already here. Hi, welcome. Are we chugging ale yet? Not quite. Eyeshadow is enchanting today. Thank you, I'm getting better at my makeup. And then Monkey says, greetings humans. Greetings Monkey. All right, I think that's everything. Make sure you guys vote in that poll. I'm excited to work on the Hodag, but I'm just excited to work on the Halfling Monk. So yeah. Small screen. All right, for our warm up here, the next 30 minutes or so, I'm just gonna work more on this War Machine. It's really just kind of buttoning up details. I'm really happy and satisfied with the main aesthetic of this, but we do have a couple pieces that haven't been touched. Like this is just a perfect trapezoid, kind of floating in the middle. But for the most part, we're looking pretty nice. So that's what we're up to right now. I'm gonna work front to back. So first thing I'm gonna do is taking care of the horns, getting some more texture on them, and then doing my favorite, just kind of throwing a couple stamps up on the screen. You guys can kind of admire the coolness of this design, because you guys helped me a lot with this one. So did my husband. He was really instrumental in helping me figure out how to structure this large, hard surface monstrosity here. Alrighty. But yeah, I'm very excited for today's stream. My streams have been a little shorter recently, just because it kind of feels like I'm improvising the whole time, and that can be a little tiring. So now that I have this little bit of structure, I can kind of focus more on the art. And then I can just look to like, okay, what section is it? And just do what that section says, as opposed to being so freeform the entire time. I've toyed with ideas like this in the past, but I was never streaming enough for it to really matter. But now they want to stream nearly every day. It's definitely going to take a lot of that pressure off of me to just kind of make it up as I go, you know? As far as like new community features that I have, I know you guys are gonna love this. I already have like polls, and so polls that I ask you guys are usually just what model I'm gonna work on. But now I have polls that I've worked on before the stream has started that are really gonna help build like the lore and the storytelling between the models that we designed for the main Tavern Keeper's craft of the day. I think you guys are gonna love it. Most of the improvements are behind the scenes, but I think it's gonna really improve just like the overall clarity and readability, I guess followability of the stream. I think about y'all all the time. I really do. As far as like, how can I make this better? How can I make this even more fun to watch? I'm always thinking about that. I'm really excited for the happy hour. It's gonna happen after the main like course of the stream, because that's gonna be a time where I can work on just like a single asset for 30 minutes. So you guys will actually see a lot of progress on a smaller piece instead of a full character. So that means on every single stream now, you guys will be seeing at least 3 different projects being worked on, but it's a warm up, the main entree, and then another like little closing warm up, like a palette cleanser. So it's still gonna like follow one model cohesively, and that's gonna be the brunt of the stream. But for those that join the entire stream, which quite a few of you guys are here for like the entire stream, it's just gonna be a better experience overall. It requires a little bit more prep on my side before the stream begins, but I really think it's worth it. I go into the stream now with a lot more clarity on what order to work on things and how do I want to do these spikes? But yeah, what order to work on things and more about how to develop those characters, because the polls that I'm asking you guys to help me design the character are just good questions for me to ask anyway. So I'm excited for that. Oh, I see Wolf is here. Hello, welcome. Yes, this is in fact an afternoon stream and not a midnight stream. To be fair, when I shared that last night, it was already kind of late, so I understand. I don't normally advertise my streams the day before, but I had some cool stuff planned, so I knew I wanted to tell you guys ahead of time. All right. These structures here are so perfectly clean, and they need to be weathered a little bit. This is already 300,000 points, so I don't have to worry about adding more polys in order to get some texture in. I found that I've learned a lot of new techniques working on this war machine here, and one of them is going in with clay tubes, interesting, and subtracting material to get kind of like an uneven appearance. I'm surprised at how well this works. You can get a very similar effect by using surface noise modifier, but I find when I use tools in ZBrush that are automated, I spend so much time just trying to like finagle the tool to work for me that it's actually faster to just do it myself by hand. But I have been spending a lot more time sculpting off stream as well recently, because I don't know, I'm really hungry to learn like new techniques and new things this year. I feel like if I keep up the progress that I've been doing, I'm really gonna end the year with a significantly stronger and more well-rounded tool set, which who doesn't like that? Kind of adding some cracks or some wear and tear. This would be just a giant air intake. There we go. Oh yeah, and so down below it kind of makes more sense. You can actually see our beer mug is a third of the way through. So you know we're 30% of our way onto the main event. Sapphire says, this looks like it'd be awesome to paint, terrifying to ride. Exactly the combo I was looking for. Also, welcome back, Sapphire. I'm pretty surprised at how this turned out. I knew it was going to come out cool, otherwise I wouldn't have offered to take this request, but I'm really pleased with it. It makes me want to do more models like this. Right now I'm cleaning up the really goofy topology on this that I explicitly was like, hey, if you're one of my students, don't do this thing that I just did. It was even better because I proceeded to use this same piece all over the model. If this was gonna be like a cleaner sci-fi look, I definitely wouldn't have kept this mistake. Because you can kind of see like I have like these little holes forming here and I'm patching them up. But the reason I went with it is because I knew I was gonna be going for kind of like an uneven wear and tear look anyway. So I'm like, I can get away with it. But just because you can doesn't mean you always should. Construct things intelligently. There we go. So I'm having to delete these little pieces here because the topology was all goofy. But I went ahead and repaired it here once. So I can go with age polish to kind of remove any of this odd lumpiness we have going on. There's the before and the after. And then I can reduce the poly count on this and reconstruct those forms. Also go ahead and check the mesh integrity just to make sure we don't have any silliness going on. It is complaining about a couple overlapping edges, so a really easy fix is just to inflate. And then I'm a big fan of close holes and remesh by union. So these little things I'm doing right now, it's for the sake of like, I guess not so much 3D printing reasons. You just want to have a nice mesh that's not riddled with holes to not cause any problems for your slicer. The mesh would have to be pretty bad to actually cause any 3D printing issues, but we run a tight shop here, so I try to keep things working as nicely as possible. Monkey says, I think it'd be awesome to ride, terrifying to paint. Very fair. I don't even know how you would go about this, especially, I don't plan to have it keyed. I plan for it to be a single piece. So, I mean, it's going to be tricky. There's a lot of nooks. I would probably just throw a wash on it and call it a day. I'd get some main base colors on here. Probably not fuss with it too much past that. So right now we're taking these exhaust vents that I have repaired and reconstructing a little bit. You'll notice I haven't added any wear and tear, and that's because I don't want them to be symmetrical. Otherwise it's just gonna kind of get rid of that illusion. It's gonna make it look really stiff in design. Whenever you're adding wear and tear, I really encourage you to do that organically and not with perfect symmetry turned on. It's one of those things that your eye just kind of catches onto. There we go. And some more chipping and some big cracks up front. I don't want them to be so large that they break the geometry. There we go. They kind of look like little flames almost. Ella says keying is for the weak. Yeah, I've got it the same way. I tend to just print everything in one giant piece and call it good. I am a fan of printing my stuff without the base sometimes. It's like a little easier to finagle all my paints and whatnot, but I'm not having to navigate with the base, especially if there's like a cape. I can flip the whole model over. It's much easier to paint the underside of a cape. But other than that, yeah, I just kind of paint or print it all together in one piece. If you're new here and you're like, what the heck is keying? It just means when you take a model and you break it up into multiple pieces and they kind of fit together like Legos. So it's a little easier to print, but then you have to assemble it. But depending on what you're printing and painting, it's really nice to be able to paint discrete pieces and assemble them rather than one giant piece. It's really up to personal preference. Ella and I are kind of on the same page with that, which is like, just print it in one piece, especially for minis, like my goodness. However, this is kind of pushing it. This isn't really a mini. This is a giant terrain piece at this point. So, oh, it's not an official poll, but do you guys know what I should call this? I just have it called War Machine. I have it misspelled too. I put Marshine. What do I call this? Hell vehicle? Wow, see, I don't name vehicles ever, so that's what I got. I got hell vehicle. Devil trike. I would love if you guys put in the comments what the name of this should be. I would super, super appreciate getting some direction on that. I'm not going to make an official poll because I don't even have options to give you guys to vote from, as you can tell. But I'm not going to call it devil trike. That's stupid. I can't remember what the guy that requested this on Patreon even called it. I don't think he called it anything. I think he just described it to me. Man, this is looking awesome. Hindsight says, Infernal War Machine is module accurate, but as far as a project name, okay, Infernal War Machine. Okay, so it is a war machine. Okay, I like Infernal, because you know hell, but I can't call it the exact same thing as the source material, though I haven't changed the design quite a lot. I'll think about it. Oh, Aloha's here. Hi, welcome. And yeah, your badge changed colors, because yeah, you've supported the channel for more than a month, so thank you. If you guys are interested in supporting the channel, I would adore that. I have it pinned at the top there. You get your own custom mug. Currently, we have 3 patrons of the tavern, which is Aloha, Non-Sleeper, and Monkey. So 2 of those members are actually here. So yeah. And then so far, everyone's saying hog. Hog rog. I like it. I'm reading about your guys' preferences on painting stuff that's assembled versus not assembled. We have some different opinions here. That's cool. All right, we're getting really close to, doors have been open. You guys are welcome. We're kind of warmed up. We have about another 10 minutes to go roughly until we begin our main Tavern Keeper's craft, which is my main project of the day. It looks like the Hodag cryptid is going to win, but it's just barely in the lead. It's at 57% right now. So if you're just hanging out and you haven't voted, make sure you vote. The poll is at the top of the chat. And then right below that is a claim your seat at the tavern. If you click on that, it tells you all about being a YouTube member. Monkey says, I'm going to channel my inner white zombie and call it Black Sunshine. You know, as much as I love the name Black Sunshine for this vehicle, I don't know if people are going to search that to know what it is. I can say Black Sunshine War Machine. Oh, I love this little headcanon you shared, Monkey. Wolf says, I think for details for 3D prints, single prints are great, but for plastic, 100% multi-part. Oh, interesting. Why do you say that? Also depends on the size. Very fair. I'm surprised that you mentioned for if it's plastic, you want to be multiple pieces though. I know that's common for like Warhammer, really just everything else. Like the sprue pieces, right? The sprue, do you cut it from? You guys can tell I don't do a whole lot of like wargaming outside of 3D printing or really any wargaming. I just do tabletop games. So I'm like pretty sure it's called sprue. All right, we're gonna assemble these vents on the back. The vents on the back, these are exhaust. They look just like my air intake because they both move air. So that is fine. All right, I'm gonna flip these around. I'm doing all of these deformations and movements here using the 3D gizmo. That's this funky little sphere I got moving around here. You bring up this tool by changing the mode that you're in ZBrush. So it's kind of interesting. You're either in draw mode or move mode, which I find is really funny that there isn't a sculpt mode. They call it draw mode. And that's because technically ZBrush is a 2.5D program. It's not a like native 3D program, if that makes sense. That just has to do with the way that ZBrush was created way back when. I think ZBrush was released the same year I was born. Pretty sure it's 1996. Can I duplicate this, or is it not going to duplicate? How about we reduce the poly count first? Oh, and reminder that in our Discord channel, we now have a live stream reference channel. So pretty soon here, I'm gonna move on to the Tavern Keeper's Craft, and that is your guys' time to shine. Bring your creative ideas and let's create something cool together. Especially the project we're doing today, which is this cryptid, there's a little more flexibility in design because it's, well, not real. Also, the person that requested it, Alyssa, she's just lovely. She's been such a wonderful Patreon supporter of mine, and she's not picky. She just comes with fantastic ideas, and she just lets me do my thing. My favorite kind of person. All right, we made a lot of really good progress on this. So in this last 30 minutes, we detailed the horns, we repaired the exhaust vents, then proceeded to damage them, and then also got our intake manifold here. It's not an intake manifold, but I'm gonna call it that anyway. Detailed and structured too. I'm really proud of this harpoon. Took me a little bit to get this shape just right, but it came out quite nicely. And then we kind of came up with a name, roughly, which it is in fact a war machine. So we're gonna spell it correctly. Do we have any synonyms for infernal? How about just demonic war machine? That's gonna be our temporary name for Patreon release. Hindsight says Helltrike, devil's horn, or like the horny devil. That is a type of lizard, isn't it? Brimstone bike, meh. Hell rocket, I kind of like that. Brimstoker, see what I did there? I like Helltrike a lot, especially because, I mean, even though it has, what, 7 wheels? 2, 4. I know that's 2 right there. It is a trike still. Ella says, do I detect Maverick snoring in the background? Yes, you do. That is that weird noise back there. So this little pop, you can see his little black legs sticking out on top. There's just 2 little fingers. Let's see if I can make my camera a little bigger to show you guys. You see his little foot right there? He's all black, so he's hard to tell, and it's very dark in the tavern today. Gosh, the hair is hairing today. Good hair. There's something, like, my hair looks good. It's like I forget how to act, and just, it makes my whole day. Okay, enough about that. Yes, it does have 3 groups of wheels, like wheel clusters going on right here. They're also clipping through each other right now, but we'll fix that. Wow, the bottom is absolutely and utterly not detailed. Don't look at the bottom. I didn't design that. We look at the parts that are done. But yeah, I'm so happy with this. This is cool, man. I'm gonna save it again. I liked Helltrike. Ella says, I cannot get over how nice that back wall came together. Oh yeah, so Ella's actually been here in person before. I say it like she's my online friend, but she's also like my in real life friend. She lives across the country, but she flew out to see us. And when she came here, this wall behind me was just all white. And we painted it. Those shells, my husband made those. They're live edge, you can't really tell, but they're fancy and polished and whatnot. So yes, we just pretty much painted a wall and put stuff up, but it's still cool. Alrighty. Ooh, and then Major Blaze shared some stuff, or some mini Blaze, about the Hodag. Awesome. I actually have some fun facts prepared, so please look at that though. That's really awesome. I'm gonna throw an invite to the Discord if you guys aren't already in there. There we go. Thank you, Mini Blaze. Alrighty. Well, our little beer mug has slid all the way over. It's so cute. I'm very happy with this. And we officially are going to end our poll. So thank you guys for voting. We are going to work on the Hodag cryptid today. So that is going to be our main Tavern Keeper's craft. All right, let's go ahead and swap over to our next section here. Woo. So we've kind of reset here, and now this is our main part of the stream. So this one's 1 to 2 hours. And by the time we're done with this section, then begins our little happy hour, which is kind of like our wrap up before last call. All right, here we are. I have some questions for you guys. So first off, what is the Hodag? So there is a Hodag in Pathfinder, but we're doing one that's more about the cryptid from Wisconsin, which is a state in the United States for all my international people. The Hodag was first discovered in 1893 by a man named Eugene Shepard in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. He claimed to catch it alive. Obviously, he didn't catch it alive because it's not real, so that it was later revealed to be a hoax. But for some reason, this was such like a prevalent moment in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. I guess not a whole lot happens there, that it's become like part of the culture there, and they're really proud of it. Like, it's a beloved like local symbol. They actually have a statue of the creature in town, which is really cute and funny. So I'm gonna drag this down here just for a moment. Let's see if this one wants to work with me. Yes. So yeah, this was requested by Alyssa on my Patreon. Thank you. If you're interested in making your own Patreon requests, all that's in the description. Here are some renders I found of it. This is the statue that's in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. So that's a Hodag. We can definitely be a little more flexible that this is gonna look like. These are really the only two images that I found. We're just gonna have a fun time with it. Yes, it's a weird goobly. That is accurate. All right, I have some poll questions for you guys to figure out just how we want to create this guy. Again, since it's a cryptid and there's not a ton on it, we have a lot of wiggle room for how I want to design this. Hindsight, we got cheese and a carnivorous bowl. What more do you need? That feels very Wisconsin-y. Alrighty, so we have some questions. I have a question for you guys here. I kind of want to get the vibe of this character first, because we have a lot of different ways we can design his face, and then also just whether he's a funny little dude or if he's going to be more scary and menacing. So what is our Hodag, our cryptid Hodag's temperament going to be? We can go more of like aggressive and territorial, or maybe like curious, mischievous, funny little guy, cunning and stealthy. If you guys, depending on what you guys pick, I'm going to reflect this in the design. So if it's cunning and stealthy, I'm going to have it be pretty lanky and long. Protective of its home, it's going to be a lot bulkier, you know, kind of like a sentry dog on steroids, pretty much. So yeah. And then Mayflies asked, do you want to go with the form of Ashes of Ox? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. We're going to I'm going to do more of like that lizard body for it. Although what you shared in the Discord is quite relevant. I think it's helpful. I like the stylized version. I do too. What a funny looking guy. Very cool. Alrighty. We're gonna start off designing this body. I have some really cool tools I can show off. This is Z Builder Animals, and we can kind of piece some stuff together here. This is a tool that I purchased on Gumroad, I believe. I'm not even sure how much of it we're going to be using. The point of it is that you can kit bash monsters together, but I don't really end up using this plugin for that. I actually end up using it more for grabbing nice base meshes and then manually doing some changes. Hindsight says, I'd pull off the bullet or the bullet for body shape / size. I think that's really spot on as far as proportion goes. I do have one of those too. Maybe we'll do that because it looks like this plugin doesn't want to load anyway. Bear with me here. ZBrush is having a small tantrum, which is a-okay because we're kind of figuring out what we want this temperament to be. Looks like protective of its home is winning, so we're really gonna emphasize that bulldog shoulder and stance. And then funny enough, this plugin I was gonna use and show off for you guys doesn't wanna work, so we're gonna sculpt from scratch. I consider that just like a sign. How's that sound? I haven't done a sculpt from like scratch, like a sphere model in a hot minute. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, first thing I'm going to do is grab a basic material and we're gonna adjust our lighting scene. Hindsight provided a screenshot of a bullet. I really like that. Can't decide how to pronounce that. I'm gonna screenshot that and put that in my own references because that's a really nice like 3/4 view that I can utilize. Excellent. And that's going to be very fitting because you guys are kind of picking in between aggressive and protective of its home, which kind of is going to have a similar body type. No one wants it to be cunning and stealthy. I kind of want to do cunning and stealthy, give like a funny eyebrow expression, but that's okay. All right, I'm gonna preview AO, which is ambient occlusion. It's gonna give us some better shadows here, and then build our light scene. So I'm throwing one light off to the top left and another one kind of to the right. It's gonna be a warmer light. This is just gonna give us more feedback on our shapes as we develop them. All right, I have symmetry turned on, and we're gonna go ahead and start constructing this. I'm gonna pretty quickly go to the side view, and we're gonna have a low resolution the whole way out. There's a lot of chat happening in our live stream references too, which is fantastic. If you are not in our Discord, let me know. I'll put the invite in again, because there is like 2 different conversations. We have like our creatives and our artists sharing lots of ideas in our Discord with images. It's a party. Alrighty. I like the goofiness though of this lower jaw. So this is gonna be a good time. And it's gotta have a big underbite as well. Mini Blaze, you're gonna have an absolute meltdown as I do this block out. Please contain yourself. All right, kind of got this big head shape happening, and I'm gonna add in these teeth sooner than later, these big tusks, because they're gonna be so critical to the shape of this monster. Right now he kind of has a big old smile, so let's go ahead and droop this jaw lower. There we go. And then dig out a little spot for his eyes. I haven't done a model like this on stream in so long. I'm really excited for you guys to see this whole process and how we're gonna kind of design this together. A lot of really good references coming in. Again, he's a really funny looking dude, so we're gonna have fun with this. So you'll notice I'm just taking these spheres here and I'm just gonna kind of create different blob shapes. I really like this monster that Hindsight has referenced. I've actually sculpted one of those before. So we're gonna give it kind of like this big hunchback. We're really gonna focus on proportions in rough, big, blobby shapes. Beautiful. So this is gonna be kind of like that back shoulder piece. Now I haven't decided how fluffy I'm going to make him or not. This is a great use or time to use the IMM Primitives brush to really quickly add new base shapes. Even though I'm immediately smushing them around with the move brush, it just saves a little bit of time. And then I'm not sure about the tail this guy is gonna have. I'm gonna pull his eyebrows forward. You'll notice as I design this, I don't spend very much time at any one place. There's a lot of changing that's gonna be happening. It's gonna be a fun time. Alrighty, let's start constructing this arm here. And then we'll get some poly paint sooner than later. Man, Mini Blaze is on it with the references today. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, so what you just shared, Mini Blaze, is kind of closer to what Monkey, sorry, that I am referencing right here. I'm actually gonna grab a screenshot of that really quick so everyone can see the reference that Monkey just shared in our Discord, because this is kind of the goofy little guy. Oh my God, why is it so small? There we go. This is kind of the goofy little guy we're making right now, and that's roughly what I'm shooting for, but cool. We're gonna make it cooler than that, okay? Oh, I missed some chat, my bad. I'm just like in the zone. You guys are being so fun. Minnie Blake says, I can't help it. I get confused on Blockout and the rest. I'll get there. You will. I just like giving you a hard time. And I already can tell this guy needs a necklace. Aloha says, I like this new stream flow of voting on the personality because it helps the baby artists understand how personality and character shapes the design. Absolutely. And thank you. That's like the first positive feedback or direct feedback I've gotten on the new stream format. So I'm really excited you guys are liking it. Speaking of, I'm going to change the poll somewhat soon because I have a lot of questions I want to ask you guys. We're a three-way tie. Y'all, okay. You guys want it to be aggressive and territorial, curious and mischievous, and protective of its home, but not cunning and stealthy, which is fine. I actually can't integrate these three. I'm just a little baffled that we have a three-way tie. Like exactly 33% on all three options. If you're watching the stream right now, please, please, please vote and break the tie. The next vote will be very, very powerful. Minnie Blake says, oh no, this needs a spiked collar. Honestly, yeah, and that actually would be nice for the design. Monkey says, horns out more, like a longhorn bull. Let's do it. Monkey suggests flipping these on their side. Like a longhorn. Like, how's that, Monkey? Okay, he's starting to look a little bit like a toad on his face. I don't hate it, but I will be careful about the toadness. And let's go back to constructing these arms. So, because you guys are voting like aggressive and territorial, how are we going to show that? One of the best ways you can show that is think of like this big shoulder, like tough, I have noodle arms, but you know, like big shoulder, think like bodybuilders, how like their neck is like hidden almost into their shoulders because they're so buff. And that kind of frame is really gonna look tough and mean. So I might even give him kind of like a backwards knee up here, depending. We don't want him to look broken, but he's gonna look big and tough. We're gonna avoid the feet for a while because that's just kind of what I do. No good reason on that. That's just what I do. I avoid the feet. And then I really want to get this tail blocked out as soon as possible. Long tail. The spikes are going to be very important. So if you look at our today's order, which I got pinned over here, it's a Hodag, but the ingredients are it's a cryptid, spiked body, more of a forest predator, and then stout and muscled. That's the big ones here. And the monkey says, well, there are 15 people in chat, and that is divisible by 3. Yeah, I have like special analytics so I can see the true number, and it is technically, it's more than 15, so you people need to vote. Pretty much everyone has. Thank you. Oh, sweet. And more people have voted, and aggressive and territorial has just barely edged out. Thank you, whoever that was. Monkey says the pug-like eyes are cool in that reference. I have to do that because we have our little pug mascot sleeping back here anyhow. All right, we have a pretty good shape going on here. Now let's kind of block out these back legs. I'm gonna have these sit lower. He's gonna be kind of like a downhill, or he's like an uphill design right now. So I say uphill or downhill. I actually say that because I'm thinking about like, that's how you describe like horse conformation. Like baby horses tend to, their hindquarters tend to grow faster. So they're like baby horses, their butt's all high. So we call it like a downhill horse. So that's why I'm saying that. But you can literally just look at it and be like, okay, he's uphill right now. There's a couple different ways we can utilize that to make him look strong. I think in this case, being more uphill and big shoulder is gonna suit the design better, but I wouldn't mind the idea of this big arched back either, and then a more downhill. I'm undecided on that. We're gonna start structuring these back legs here. And the reference is his back legs just look like broken tubes, but I know a little more about back legs, so we're gonna do a better job than that. thinking of almost like a gorilla with these front legs. Awesome. Oh goodness. This is gonna be a fun one. Wow, my dog is snoring really loud. I doubt it bothers you guys, but for some reason I feel the need to apologize. Maverick's having a great stream. Monkey says, longer body before the tail starts. Mini Blaze agrees. All right, let's do it. This is how I can really quickly change my proportions. I start grouping like objects, like the back legs, for example. And the reason why I'm comfortable merging those subtools down, I merged them to the wrong one, is because there's no subdivision levels here. So what I can do is if I want to break these legs into different pieces, it's very, very easy because I can just select them with Control and Shift. So see, I can just grab one piece. But I might as well have it as one subtool because now I can just move it back really easily. I had two people that suggested a longer body, so let's go ahead and do that. And I'm actually going to segment it into a third piece here. That way we have some reasonable anatomy forming here. We got a belly and now we have haunches. We need some little feet starting to happen here. I'm not against the idea of giving him like just one big claw on like his front feet, kind of like a sloth of sorts. All right, it's starting to happen. He's looking a little sad, so I'm kind of pushing his face around a bit to adjust that. And then blending some forms as we're starting to refine a bit more. It's crazy how quickly it comes together. So far says, I was picturing an ankylosaurus. I know it's a dinosaur, but I don't know which one. Never had a dinosaur phase. Ankylosaurus. Ankylosaurus. Oh shoot, that looks exactly like what we're going for. I'm gonna put that on the screen in just a moment here. Like, you can't tell me that's not a Hodag. That's like perfect. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna do an exaggerated version of this with these big shoulders, more gorilla-like, but that's gonna be huge for adding the spikes in that design. Thank you for sharing that. That is really helpful. Mini Blaze says, can you try small teeth between the longer ones? Not yet. We don't have enough of a head shape yet to add small details like little teeth, but we definitely can. So bring that up again when we get further along. All right, I'm thinking about that dinosaur that they shared, and it had a flatter back and more, it's almost like a turtle shell appearance, which I do think is really cool. So I'm gonna add some more width on top here. And I can come in with my clay tubes brush, or let's go with my clay brush. I really like the texture on a clay brush. I can start to find some of these forms a bit better. Okay. We do need to start adding spikes sooner than later, even though I usually avoid adding a secondary shape like that this early on. However, it's really crucial to the design. So right now I am just creating a quick spike here. It looks like I'm trying to do it mirror and weld so it's in symmetry, but I really don't have to. It's just a picky preference I have right now that I might need to let go. There we go. Perfect. Formed a spike here really quick. And then these are gonna kind of just run down his back. These are going to be especially rough for right now, but we need to start getting them into the design to understand how this is all going to work. Let's kind of put his tail back where it's supposed to be. I need another piece for his shoulders to make them look tough. So what I'm gonna do is kind of create like a little fake like deltoid group. You know, I guess it's not fake. I just feel like it's fake because this whole monster doesn't make sense. But we're gonna make it make sense. Starting to find like where an elbow would be, a bicep. This is where all those secondary forms start to come in. We definitely have something that looks like a something. She said articulately. Goodness. These spikes are gonna run all the way down the tail for sure. And then maybe on the end of the tail, we'll have an interesting like fan effect going on. Kind of reminds me of the dinosaurs that were shared. Yeah, kind of like this. What do you guys think about that? Why are we hiding? All right, what are we thinking, guys? He needs a pug nose, perhaps. Mini Blaze says, now your raised back should look better and run them down the tail. On the same page. I'm gonna look at our live stream reference chat because you guys are saying a lot. Hindsight is showing pictures of the bulldog face with those tusks. I like that. Ooh, I like that. Oh, the Texas Longhorn that Mini Blaze provided in Discord is a great idea. And then Hindsight further developed that like the Rajang from Monster Hunter. It really is similar, and that's very on the nose. I really like those horns. I like that they're upside down. For this specific guy, I might need to flip him. Yeah, he looks too cute. All right, they're gonna have to be like this. But the longhorns are really cool that Mini Blaze shared. So let's find that shape a little better here. And then pretty soon here, I'm gonna have another poll question for y'all. Some of them are less critical than others, but they're all fun. All right, so longhorns are very long. We have a very, very flat section here, followed by a sharp curve up, and that follows up into a point. More like that. I'm using zero mesh in half quite a lot here, just to keep my forms as simple as possible, and that's what's preventing it from getting too lumpy. They also have a really nice natural taper, which means it's very important that like the center section here isn't randomly larger to make this look as good as possible. If I do need to add some volume, I can go with move and back face mask. Something more like that. Excellent. All right. A lot of good references coming in. All right. Mini Blaze recommended use the tail being similar to the ball on the end of a morning star. That would be fun, and it would be very asymmetrical. And you guys know how I feel about asymmetrical details. I like them. So I'm gonna go ahead and just rotate this spike here and just throw that right there. And we'll kind of sit on that for a while. All right, his arms are a little too forward or tucked in. So I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna refine this silhouette shape from the front a touch more. We just kind of need to move these arms over. And this funny like little toe that I gave him. Can smooth these arms out. We're not ready for secondary shapes on that quite yet. Since I have this other muscle group here, I'm actually going to shorten this piece entirely. It's going to make it easier for them to flow together. They're going to have kind of like this gentle triangle-like shape. All right, so we have these toes here. Gonna zero mesh by half a few times, make them pointy. We're gonna kind of block out. We're gonna try a two-toed front foot. All right, we got some really good progress happening here. I'll get some stamps going pretty soon so you guys can see a turnaround. Oh, we're a little too bowed from the front. Oops. It's very important when you zero mesh that you check your settings first, because you might end up adding a lot of polys or losing a lot of polys depending on what you're asking ZBrush to do. All right, so this is kind of our little dude here for right now. We're gonna do a quick summary of what we've done in this last 30 minutes. It's been pretty quick. I'm not mad about it. I'm not bad about it at all. Alrighty. So yes, he's gonna be aggressive and territorial more than anything. He's gonna be very protective of his homeland, Rhinelander. Thank you for that feedback. I'm gonna get a new poll going right now. And I'm gonna take notes of what our answers were. All right, I have another pretty important design poll going up right now, so just keep an eye out for that. It's gonna pop up very soon. This one's pretty obvious how it's gonna affect the design. So I want you guys to really think about it. It's supposed to be more like a forest predator, but it isn't real. So we can really play around. I'm giving 4 options here, but feel free to add additional ones in the chat. Aloha says, what do we think about enlarging the head a bit to create a more stocky look like the main reference? We will definitely enlarge it a little bit, but I want to be careful in that. The bigger you make the head, the smaller the overall the creature looks. Kind of like a backwards thinking. Okay. New poll is up. What should our Hodag's primary mode of attack be? Sharp claws and teeth, tail strikes, acid spit, or a sonic roar? I included acid spit and a sonic roar because we could do an interesting pose with the mouth then. So if it's acid spit, he'll probably have some drool or goop coming out of his mouth. And if it's sonic roar, we're gonna give him a huge open mouth kind of pose, is what I was thinking. So let me know what you guys think. I already see some votes are flowing in. So thank you for being part of the process. I can do it without you, but goodness, is it not nearly as fun. It doesn't come out nearly as good. So I guess that means I can't do it without you, get the same results. You know what I mean. All right, and then Aloha mentions his head. It is a little small. So let's go ahead and put a stamp right here. This will be kind of like we'll do a couple. So we can kind of check our progress as we go. This is where it's really fun to look and see how far we've come in about another 30 minutes or so. You can see how far our little beer mug has slid down. We're like only not even a quarter of the way through the craft, so we got a lot of time left. While I'm waiting and kind of like letting this design sit, I'm actually gonna run in with some poly paint really quickly here. Hindsight is torn between roar and spit. The other two don't make a lot of physiologic sense given its build proportions. I actually think the tail strikes makes a lot of sense. Sharp claws and teeth doesn't look terribly agile. You know, its primary mode of attack doesn't have to be very successful, but you're right. All right. Though hindsight touches on an interesting point there, and a very good one, being like the other two don't make sense given physiological sense, real or not. And that's very true. So even if you're designing creatures that aren't real, making them make sense is huge in successful creature design. That's why even though dragons aren't real, sad, they make sense when you look at them though, you know? All right, let's get some poly paint on here. I'm gonna go in with drag rectangle, and I'm actually not sure what kind of colors I want. I'm gonna look at my references here. They just gave him like a muddy green body and white teeth, and that's pretty much it. So I guess we'll start with the spikes, making those a lighter color. I'm gonna adjust my scene a little bit here to make it brighter and a little easier to see, increasing the contrast just a touch. and then having the lighting being a little more head on. There we are. All right, for a creature like this, I'm a big fan of doing like a two-tone, which means darker upper body and then a lighter under. This is gonna make him look like a toad. But he is a forest creature. Wait, are there a lot of forests in Rhinelander? I feel like there's not. We're just getting a rough color scheme on here so we have something to look at. If you guys have strong feelings about it, tell me about it. May or may not take your suggestions, but I usually do because they're usually really good suggestions. So the way that I go about this is I usually pick a very like muted, simple color palette, and then it's easier to kind of build on. We obviously don't want to do some incredible paint work right here because there's not really a whole lot to paint. But just something that's going to give us a nice starting point. I thought maybe more orangey. Although I put in like a really goofy morph in our live stream chat in Discord, but I actually kind of, even though I think you're putting it as a joke, I actually kind of like how it looks, like in a real sense. This is courtesy of Aloha in our Discord. This design change right here. Minnie Blay says, what about a bit of neck, well muscled like a pit bull? Ooh, I like that idea. So in order to achieve that, we can do some like neck folds. I'm gonna come with my standard brush and kind of just add some material at the base of his neck here, and I can just kind of keep that in mind as I develop this character more. And he does need a nose. We talked about that earlier. Hindsight says, I mean, timber wolves, bobcats, and mountain lions are subtly darker on top and light underbelly and limbs. Yes. And then, quick question, skin or short fur? You know, I'm not sure. So if you look at the statue that they built in Rhinelander, it's so funny. It's really hairy. It looks like a big mop, like a big rug. But I think I want to do more of a scaly texture. So a little bit of both, I guess, but more on the scaly side. I'm open though. Looking pretty cool. I do think some orangey tones would be nice. Just something simple. And then another really cool thing to do with the paintbrush and ZBrush is change it to color spray. So I kind of want to just play with some colors here. So what you can do is you can pick a color, and then when color spray is enabled, it just grabs a bunch of colors that are near it and will kind of spray down a bunch of different colors. I don't know if you guys can really tell that effect right there, but there is a like smattering of different colors that it's adding. I want it a little bit more vibrant, just so it's easier to see on the stream too. Very nice toad. Hindsight, cute from a distance, gross when you actually look at them. Yeah. Oh, yeah, scale and fur combos. I agree. Minnie Blaze suggested maybe some armor plates. That would fit well with the dinosaur reference that we were given. I like that idea. And then our poll is kind of all over the place. We have a three-way tie right now for claws and teeth, tail strikes, and sonic roar. Sharp claws and teeth are just barely winning, but the sonic roar is a pretty cool idea. In order to best convey that, we probably will need the mouth to be open. But I'll check in with you guys in a little bit. Let's keep working on these shapes. I need this muscle up here to be larger, and it's really just coming out lumpy and odd. So I'm trying to do my best with this. Something about it that I haven't quite figured out. I think it's because I don't understand how arms work on people very well. That might have something to do with it. I'm trying to break a rule here, but I don't even know what the rule is. So I think by breaking this down further into segments I know, so I have this deltoid here, and then from my shoulder to my elbow to my wrist. So that's what I just did here. I have my shoulder piece up here. This is gonna be our elbow essentially. And this is that extra piece. So from here down is the hand assembly. That's gonna make it a little easier for me, I think. I think I was just missing a piece and trying to do more with less, and it was not working. So let's add this back in here. And I think it'll be easier for me to build this up. Yep, that immediately makes more sense to me. Just having that one line there, I'm like, ah, yes, that is a front arm. Yep, that makes way more sense. I was simplifying too much, which does happen. Hindsight put in a cursed reference that I like. Finger walker, like the things from Quiet Place, which instead is kind of like what I said at the beginning of this earlier in the stream, where it's having more like a broken front arm appearance. What do you guys think about that? I think the design I have is maybe a bit more boring, but it reads a bit more comfortable to look at. Mini Blaze says, what about claws in the front and hooves in the back? I think hooves in the back would be too weird, but I love that. Like, bring me the creative ideas still. And then Hindsight says, I second Blaze's mullet idea. Oh, I missed that. How did I miss the mullet? Aloha called it a cursed Bulbasaur. It kind of is. Put a big old flower on the back. I think a low taper fade will fit this boy well. This is coming about pretty nicely though. This is that point where you're safe to start adding more subdivision levels, but I chronically like to stay too low poly forever. Oh, claws in the front, hooves in the back. Oh, like party in the front, or whatever. Business in the front, party in the back. Oh my god, I get your joke. It was just so terrible I didn't pick it up. That's great. One of the few times where explaining your joke is actually okay. It was worth it. All right, so we're missing some volume on the side here. Like from the side profile, I think it's fine. But when I rotate, he obviously looks kind of clipped, and I think he needs to have a nice big belly. So I'm gonna come in with my clay brush and kind of add some of this volume in. It's also gonna make him look like he's actually affected by gravity, which would be good. Kind of places him in this world a little more, because he's real, very real. I do love this ridiculous toad look we have going here. Blaze says, you guys realize we will have to push for an armored warhorse. That would be awesome. I have sculpted a few of those. All right. Thinking. It's time to move on to like the next stage of the design. I'll talk about that in just a moment. Just getting my thoughts in order first. Okay. So before and after poly paint, you can already see that the design has improved even further. This is the point of the design where you have to just start making, here, lots of big talk. You have to just start making decisions and committing to them. And that can be kind of scary because right now everything is so up in the air and smushy, I can kind of hide behind that. But at some point you have to be very clear in your design work. And the best way to do this when you have this blob here is to kind of pick one to structure in these secondary forms and then replicate whatever that form is throughout the rest of the body in a way that makes sense. So what does that mean? I will show you. First thing I'm going to do is make this guy a little bit bigger because we have a new, it is time for a new stamp. All right, we have a new stamp here so we can kind of see what's going on. All right, let me check on the chat before. Monkey says, honestly, I think that the poll, everything should win, essentially. I agree, and it will all be there to some extent. So I'm glad you guys liked all the poll options a lot. It makes me really happy because I put a lot of time into the live stream prep. So that makes me feel very good. All right, I don't think I've missed anything critical. Oh yeah, the spikes will extend to the forehead. I'm just trying to keep them away from the head right now as I am working on the shape here. Okay. So I mentioned this is that critical point of the design where you have to start committing to secondary forms. What does that mean? Essentially, that means taking a spot like the head here, I up the subdivision levels by hitting Command D, or you can go to your geometry palette. It's like below, so hello my face. If you look right here, like below me in this menu that's scrolling up and down, you can click divide and that will give you more subdivision levels, which is more polys. You can also die mesh at a high resolution. That's a really chaotic way to do that. I like using subdiv. All right, so now that I have more polys here, you see that it looks a bit smoother. Like see how this looks rough and now this looks smoother. When it's rough like this, I try to add more detail. It just distorts the model. But when it's nice and smooth like this, you'll see it actually adds like little tracks of material. It's much easier to build upon. So right here, we're missing our secondary forms. What exactly does that mean? That means we don't have any shapes that are complementing the main shape. So our main shape here is kind of like this lumpy triangle, but we're missing a nose, we're missing eyelids, this brow shape here, that kind of stuff. So we're gonna build up these secondary forms on every piece of the model now. And this is kind of like the scary but fun part, because this is when it really starts to come together. See that? See how different that looks already? I like to start with the head usually and kind of decide what kind of texturing and scaling that I want. And then that's what I mean by replicating that on the rest of the body. And then Bonnie provided the Pathfinder Hodag in the chat. Very cool. All right. Looking good. Just kind of checking on the chat before I probably get a little focused here and neglect y'all for a touch. So I'm going to be using the clay brush pretty much exclusively here and just having fun. This is nice with when you're sculpting like a monster because all this like tertiary texture that happens, this lumpiness is actually going to be kind of like nice for the model. So you're not going to see me smooth it out until the very, very end. Even when I do, I'm being careful about that. You'll notice that when I'm adding and laying down material though, I'm very careful in the direction I'm laying it on because, you know, strokes tell a story, like paintbrush strokes. That's kind of what I'm doing here. Everything can have intention and make the design stronger or more confusing to look at. It's a lot of things to consider. So to all my like baby artists and new students, if you're like, oh my goodness, I'm not gonna be able to keep track of all of this, don't worry about it. Just start putting material down. Don't overthink it. Because if you overthink it too much, you're just not gonna end up getting anything done. And you can't refine your shapes if there are no shapes to refine. Does that make sense? yeah, I did not give him a nose. I'm gonna scroll up into our references here and go back to that bulldog. Kind of go from that. Right on cue, Mini Blaze is reminding me there's not a nose. It cracks me up how often I see that pop up right after, or right before I say it. Oh, my bad, right after. So first thing I like to do with noses, I just like to carve some holes in, kind of like his placement, and then I'll start shaping those nostrils. He's not gonna have a very pronounced snoot, so even just kind of digging this in might be a good start. And then we can build up those nostrils by using clay or standard. I usually like to build up material on top more than underneath my forms when I'm starting. I have standard selected here. I'm gonna enable lazy mouse. And kind of just build this up here. I think he'd have large nostrils. I'm gonna have him flare out on the edges here a bit. There we go. We got a nose. It's gonna be on the flatter, smushed side. But now he has one. Gonna build up this brow quite a lot. And then some of these textures here. So this is gonna be nice. This gives me an area to blend into his horns, and then adding more meat and musculature on the neck. I like these jowls I gave him, so we're gonna kind of bulk those up a touch too. And then we'll keep in mind that muscled neck suggestion that Mini Blaze gave us earlier on. So really, really stout looking. And then at the end is where we're gonna add like those scale texture details. So I'm using my standard brush here to kind of loop these in. I think it is time to give him eyeballs finally. Speaking of, I wanted to ask you guys about that as well. I'll do that in a little bit. Let's have eyeballs first. So there's a very specific way that I like to construct my eyes. I just put in a sphere to start with. And then I construct an upper and a lower eyelid. Super, super important. I used to just put a sphere in there and nothing else. And then over the years, I have learned how important it is to, here we go, actually construct those eyelids. All right, so we have our sphere. I'm gonna duplicate that. And I'm gonna mask the top and the bottom. I'm gonna have the bottom be larger, and you'll see why in just a moment here. All right, so now I have this lower bit. So I'm gonna close holes. It's before and after. We're gonna Dynamesh and smooth. And I'll do the same thing for the top eyelid. There we go. Eyelids are cool, and that's where so much of the personality is gonna come in. You'll see I made the lower one larger because it's just gonna suit this specific model. All right, so this eye cavity is not fitting his eye very well. So let's go ahead and fix that. When I'm doing large changes to the shape here, I like to reduce the resolution. And now I can kind of build up this form here. I want to be careful there's not too much of like a ledge over his eye. I do want there to be like a sleepy, droopy brow, but I don't want it to be so harsh. You'll notice I only have one eye right now because I don't feel any need to work in symmetry if I can just mirror and weld it later. Sometimes when I'm working with two pieces, symmetry gets a little silly. It doesn't like fall off or anything, it just doesn't, the 3D gizmo acts strange. So I simplify that problem by just not giving it the option. So now I'm pulling this top eyelid down all the way to meet the bottom. Especially for a creature like this, you're gonna want the eyes to be on the small side. He's not like a big friendly puppy. As fun as that would be. I should give him like a double lower eyelid and use that to really set this into the face. There we go. Gonna merge all these eyelids down into one piece because I can split them off later at any point, kind of the same way I structured the legs. And now let's do a little bit more work on this head. Coming in with my standard brush to kind of build up this brow with a little bit more intention. You can see how much better that looks than we had before, which was nothing. It's time to mirror and weld. And now we have a little bit more of that like subtlety of these forms to enjoy. He would have kind of like a cheekbone right here. So let me kind of mark that in and then I can hollow out behind it. That's kind of like this point on the temple. So as you get older, you lose fat right here, for example, and that kind of sinks in and makes you look, you know, spookier and older. In this case, I want to bring that out in my monsters. How cool is that? It also gives them even more of that toad look. All right, for this to look better, we actually need to divot where these tusks would be and thin this out just a touch. He's also missing teeth. He definitely needs more teeth. I'm gonna duplicate these tusks right here, and I'm gonna select just one. And the reason for that is because a monster like this will really benefit from not being symmetrical. So we're gonna have a bunch of little teeth right here. Sounds like Maverick woke up from his nap. Nope, he just rolled back over. Same. There we go, and now we got some teeth on the front. This lip is still a bit too much. I like how strong the shape was, but let's blend it better. I'm gonna come under here with my clay brush and just soften that transition a touch. I also like the idea of this volume continuing all the way back because it kind of gives the implication that these tusks run all the way back to his jaw. So if I turn on transparency, like see, oops, turn on transparency, you come like this. That's kind of like how I imagine like how large these tusks actually are. Kind of like a gopher. I'm gonna come in with my move and back face mask to bulk this up just a touch. There we go. All right, so the head is looking way different than it was just a little bit ago. We now have like a full monster that's starting to take shape here. And it seemed to me like it's kind of scary. I have to like commit to a lot of decisions on the fly, but you can always undo it. Many ways, like I've said before, folks would be very confused. They saw our Google searches. I totally feel that. I'm so grateful to have that live stream reference channel or Discord be so active. Like, you guys crack me up. Mini Blaze, I wonder if breaking the tip off one of the teeth or the horns make it look a bit more tough. Heck yeah, it would. That is a fantastic idea. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to auto group right here. I'm going to split one of these tusks off and we're going to break one of them. Easy way to do that is just grab your mask brush and mask lasso. There we go. Close holes. So I've shortened it a touch. Now that it's shortened, I can come in here with like my trim brush and start adding in some rough planes on it that will make it look chipped. Then further come in and actually add the cracked detail. Even just having it a different height makes it look cool. Very cool. K9's here. Hi, welcome back. Been a while since I've been able to tune in. How have things been here? Really, really good. This is my first stream in like 3 or 4 days, and we did some big upgrades here. So we now have this cute little bar at the bottom. Essentially, as that beer mug slides over, that's how you know we're going to our next section. So right now it's Tavern Keeper's Craft. This is kind of like our main segment. We're working on a cryptid Hodag. Well, it's a cryptid that is a Hodag, and it's from Wisconsin. So funny little dude. And then after this section is finished, we'll begin our happy hour, which is kind of like a fun little like palette cleanser mini sculpt right before we wrap up the stream. But it's been a really good time. I have a lot more like structured polls to ask you guys, and it's just been a really good time. But welcome back. How have you been? Now that I've added some texture on this one, I want to do the same thing on the other before I add larger chips in it. Because I like the secondary texture a lot more than I expected to. You have to be careful not to make it look lumpy though. It's a really delicate balance, honestly. So trim dynamic or H polish. H polish is probably the better brush here. Oh yeah, much better. And then I can use a pinch brush to make it a little sharper. There we go. And then I can even get a geometry and clay polish, which will emphasize those cracks, or not cracks, but the texture further. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, now let's add some larger chips out of this. Again, you always do, you build up every single form in the same way. Large forms, refine a little bit, then fine details. So stuff like cracks, those are fine details. Those are not gonna come first thing. You wanna make sure that you get your main shape and your textures down first. I'm saying that because I'm 100% certain that Mini Blaze is in the chat being like, where are the cracks? Mini Blaze, you've been around long enough. I can like predict what you're gonna say. I do like the asymmetry of it just as it is though. And I like how these spikes are looking more like bone rather than just like big teeth. I think the easiest way to do this is going to be to duplicate the shape and then grab my move brush and actually move it. So there's technically 2 teeth right in here, but that's going to be the cleanest and most clear crack. How do I want to do that? Nope. There we go. There we go. I don't mind some overlap. Why is there a weird mark on the top here? Oh, I see why. Mystery solved. It was a very short-lived mystery. And then something that jagged is going to be really easy to print and paint, which is important. I like having the cracks on it too, but again, I'm building up that actual like secondary form. Cool. There we go. So I got like a big ol' crack in that one. Awesome. We're missing some of this like lip line here. I'm noticing that with this gap. So I'm gonna have to take my sander brush. There we go. So see the before and the after right here? It's a really nice form. And I need to do the same thing with the teeth. You need to have marks where the gums are at. There we go. Check him out, guys. Can you guys start to see him come to life at this point? Mini Blaze, more jagged. There you go. But I did not say it. You just did that. I'm learning. K9, you said you have a Discord set up now. Oh yes, I've had it for a while. I do a terrible job at advertising my own stuff. I'm trying. Here's an invite though. Please join. You would fit right in. We even have a live stream reference channel where you can put your own like creative ideas, and you'll see where some of the design decisions are coming from on this, because we've been talking about it in the Discord. Yeah, you're very welcome. And then anyone else that's lurking in the chat, one, thank you for being part of my live stream and hanging out here, and you're more than welcome to join the Discord as well. Yeah, I sent you a wave. Yeah, so there's a live stream reference channel under Patreon perks. There we go. Well, now I need to detail these horns up here the same way. Mini Blaze, what do you think about breaking one of the big horns as well? Too much? I'll have them weathered the same way. So right now I'm coming through with this H polish brush, kind of getting this form blocked out. Again, primary shape, so big form first, secondary, these big chips, and then tertiary will be like the tiny little cracks and scratches. And you always work from like a pyramid. You go to the base of the pyramid and then work your way up. But you first gotta lay the foundation. I love how detailed the head is and the rest of the body is just like blobs. Mini Blaze says, I'm not sure what to make of it. Yeah, same. I don't know if I want to chip the horns yet. K9 recommends, what about just chipping the end off rather than have a slightly different size than the other? Let's do that. All right, so to do that, I'll grab my mask lasso brush and we'll just kind of chip. Just kind of a small difference. There we go. I don't know why it made it green. There we go. I need to fold it on itself a little more and then come with my mask, my polish brush. Something kind of like that, just like a small little difference. And now that's gonna look extra good when I add in some of these scratches. Thank you, K9. You officially have left your mark on the model. Now I'm adding more of that texture throughout all of the horn. We'll do the same treatment for all the spikes too. Mini Blaze says, what about a bit of texture near the head to show new horn growth? Something like velvet, like deer. That's a really good idea. Okay. Yeah, because this transition here isn't great, is it? So we have some texture built up, which is cool, but this transition area you're talking about is really critical. What a fantastic suggestion. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. First, I need to make sure I did not make 3 duplicates of my horns. I did not. Good job. Second, so I'm gonna take these horns and now I've duplicated them. The next thing I'm gonna do is mask just the bottom where that new growth would be. I'm gonna delete the rest of it. And now it's there but hidden. So we need to make it a little bit larger. And now I need to texture this a certain way, but look how good that looks already. Wow, Mini Blaze, this is a really, really good suggestion. I know it wouldn't be this color, it would be more in line with this. And yeah, so the new growth that's right here, it's usually really bumpy. I actually recently went to like a petting zoo, or like an exotic petting zoo, where it's just full of deer. So it was awesome. So I've had a bunch of baby deer. So I've actually seen them like recently up close. And they have kind of like these bumps right here. I can achieve this really quickly by changing the alpha on my damp sander brush and the brush type, which means when I click and drag now, it's just gonna add a bunch of material. Kind of like that. It looks kind of like that. I don't mind if it's a little inaccurate to deer because we got kind of our toad man here. So I have this here, and now let's see if I can add that tertiary. I should have checked in with you guys before I went straight to tertiary details. I can undo it as needed. Yeah, and we'll have a blend of textures, kind of like this. See, we're starting to get these like scales and spots in. Foxy's here. You live. Welcome, welcome back. K9, I see there's a Monster Hunter channel on Discord. You guys are big fans? Yes. I've never played one. I played Dragon's Dogma back in Xbox 360 though. I think it's similar. No. Yes, but no. Monster Hunter takes that to like an extreme of just hunting monsters. But if you do pick up the game, like we all join and like do hunts together. Aloha and I just did some hunts the other day. But yeah, if you end up picking up the copy, let me know and we'll play together. And then Maybelline says, it just dabbles with it. Dear would just give you an idea of what I was talking about. Oh, absolutely. It was, Maybelline, this might be one of my favorite suggestions you've ever given. Like that was a huge improvement on the model. That reminds me when I started adding eyelids to my models. I'm gonna do that like from now on. I think it'd be fun if his eyes glow. I know it's kind of just like a silly little question, but I'm gonna do a new poll. First, let's review the results of our first poll, which is what should our Hodag's primary mode of attack be? If you're just joining in, throw a vote in really quick. 53% of you voted. What do we think about some spit? Let me literally just mask that and show it to you guys. I'm not gonna make it an official poll, so if you like what you're going to see, you're gonna have to put it in the chat. And if you're too shy to do that, I don't know what to tell you. You can just say yes, spit. So when you're doing spit or something goopy, it's really important that there's this taper on it where there's like a ball of spit at the bottom of it. I know it's gross. It really sells the effect. Anyway, so making a smaller one. This is for all of y'all that voted for acid spit. I know it's white, which isn't very acidy. Let's make it neon green. What are we thinking about the spit? This isn't gonna have a official poll. So if you like it, you gotta tell me. Or just think it really hard. I don't think I got telepathy going on here. I think it's really fun. I think I want to keep it. I can refine this bit more later, but I just want to like sketch it on there. Okay, they look like boogers. They look really, really thick. Bear with me. You'll have to do a little bit of creative thinking here. There you go. Kind of looks like seaweed because of the color. Let's do orange instead. Okay. K9 says, I'm liking it. I kind of like the spit too. All right. Mini Blaze says, I don't think so, but that would be a cool look for the teeth. Are you talking about the spit? That'd be like gnarly looking teeth. Okay, I'm gonna do the next poll. Thank you guys so much for voting. We got some more votes in, and it pretty much just strengthened what we're talking about. Though we did get a few more votes for acid spit. I'm gonna keep the drool. I think that's what y'all were wanting. Again, thank you guys so much. This has been a blast. I'm really enjoying this new structure here. So we're gonna remove the sonic roar aspect. And then this is just kind of a fun one. This one does not affect the actual 3D model, but it's just like a fun thing during stream. What color should our cryptid Hodag's eyes glow? Mini Blaze asks, can we see the silhouette so far? Yes, I will rotate in just a moment. We've really just been working on the head, so the silhouette won't be a whole lot different. All right, I have that poll. So what color do you want the eyes to glow? I think that'd be a fun little thing. Again, it doesn't actually, and it kind of shows that you're part of the live stream. All right, so here's our silhouette looking so far. I can go ahead and update our little stamps here with this much detailed head. Look at him, he looks ridiculous. I love him. All right, looks like we are wanting it to glow yellow, and that would match his acid spit eyes, or acid spit mouth. To do a glow effect, I like using my paintbrush with drag rectangle and back face mask turned on. You'll see why in just a moment. All right, we have a little subtle glow effect going on here. I'm actually gonna make his eyes pitch black first and then paint over that, just to give the best contrast. And then you slowly build up on the color. Pitch black, yellow, and I can change it so the pole wins something else. Doesn't take super long. He's got a subtle glow going on. It looks better than what we had before, for sure. Mini Vlad says, head turned out really good. Thank you, thank you. Acid spit eyes are even better, like those lizards that shoot blood from their eyes. I like it. Tip for painting yellow on minis, undercoat with pink. That's really clever. I did not think about that. I'm also gonna darken the shadow right here, just a touch. Excellent. Oh, he looks cool. And then let's put a fun render on him here as well. Let's see how this radial overlay looks. It looks pretty darn good, guys. Don't mind that most of his body is an absolute blob. A lot of creatives here, artists. You get the idea. Check him out. All right. I'm gonna throw a screenshot of this into our Discord as kind of like a progress moment. Thank you guys so much for sharing your creative ideas with me. It's been a really fun stream. And it's really cool. So if you go to our Discord and scroll all the references, you can really see kind of all of it came together to make this guy. Pretty cool. All right, so we're just about on the 2-hour mark. Oh yeah, many places, something funny is going on with the left horn. Yeah, so right here, that's actually a painted effect. If you zoom in, you'll see it's just the head projected again. That's a small glitch that happens in ZBrush if you do a render set with this stamp on top of it. It kind of gives a cool looking effect. It doesn't affect the 3D model in any way, it's just a paint thing. So you can actually see this horn right here overlay. You can actually use this effect to get some really unique renders, but I'll go over that some other time. Yes, his face is reflected in it. All right, so we're about 2 hours into the stream right now. I am really happy with how much progress we've made on this dude. The rest of the body will come together fairly quickly. This is gonna wrap up the main part of our Tavern Keeper's craft. This is kind of like the main meat and potatoes of the stream. The next thing I'm gonna be doing here is working on kind of like a little mini project. And I have two things that I have pulled aside for that. I have a lute and I have a coin sword. Yeah, Mini Blaze says coffee time for Ricky. Yeah, so Ricky's my husband. We both run this business together and we make 3D printable models for a living. If you want access to those models, I have almost 900. It's $7 a month on my Patreon. If you want to make your own request, it's $15. You can put a new request in every month. This is actually a Patreon request from Alyssa. Thank you, Alyssa, if you're watching. All right, but happy hour is starting soon for the stream. What does that mean? That means we are going to do another sculpt from scratch. You guys will see that process. So choose the happy hour model as a poll going live right now. we got two options for today. It's either going to be a coin sword or a lute. I might not finish it, but you'll see the process. Cool, I have that vote going up right now. But thank you guys so much for helping me design this Hodag. This was just a really good time. So now that the Hodag has been the main event of a live stream, you won't see him again for 2 hours. You might see him at another happy hour or warm-up period, but tomorrow I'll have a new set of options for you guys for what the main event is going to be. So yeah. Mini Blaze loot that is actually a mimic. I've actually done that before. That models already exists and is on my Patreon right now. I did an entire project, a Kickstarter project that was all mimics. There was like 30 different models. I did all kinds of cool stuff, and they're all FDM friendly too. So yes, I'm gonna take a break right now. If you're just joining, don't worry, I'm gonna be back in about 10 minutes. And then make sure you vote for what you want to see for the happy hour model. So I'll be back at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So wherever you're at, you live somewhere where it's something 44, 244, 344, whatever. Just know I'm gonna be back at the start of the next hour. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. While you guys are waiting, it would mean the world to me if you checked out my Patreon. I'll put a link for that right now. You can join it for free, so please check that out. I have 3D printable models there, and also where requests come from. I think that's everything. Okay, I'll see you guys in 10 minutes, okay? Hi y'all, welcome back. All right, so this is a new section of my streams. I'm calling this happy hour, and essentially it's where I just do a small mini sculpt as we kind of close out the stream together. It's a little bit more relaxed on topic, so if you have questions about 3D modeling, D&D, how I got started doing this, anything like that, this is a really good time to ask that. It's kind of a more relaxed, fun part of the stream. So this is all that wonderful progress we got done on the Hodag. This was our main, I call it the Tavern Keeper's Craft. And this is the main meat and potatoes. That was a lot of work. Let's take a step back. I'm gonna go ahead and save this and put it away. Thank you so much for bringing all your creative ideas and energy. I so appreciate it. All of the references you guys shared in our Discord have been very helpful, and I'm very proud of how this has come along in a short time. But now it's time to start happy hour. So once this little bar mug at the bottom reaches all the way to the last call, that's like the last wrap up of the stream, and we'll be over. Until tomorrow, I'm gonna do it all again. Okay, it looks like the coin, oh, we're 50-50. All right, I'm gonna wait a second for the tie to break. We're either gonna work on the coin sword or the loot. Up to you guys what we pick. It cannot be both. And if you don't pick, I'm just gonna hang out. K9 says, weird side question, as I'm constantly fighting my setup. How do you have your Cintiq set up? I currently have mine on an arm. It swings over in front of me, but that's kind of in my way. I've been struggling to get my setup to feel right forever. I find that anytime I change my layout, it takes me about a week of working every day to get comfortable with it. So give yourself a week with every new iteration you do to even see if you like it. And then think specifically why you're not liking it. For me, it's usually shoulder pain, and I have fixed that over the years, which for me, it was just planting my elbow on the table. That fixed it. So I designed my whole setup about having my elbow on my desk. As far as like my Cintiq goes, let me angle my camera. It's right here. I got my laptop right here. So my left hand does all my tappy tap short keys, and then right here is my pen and the magic, right? So that's it. It's not on an arm or anything like that, because the arm, I just didn't buy it. I just used the little feet on the Cintiq, and I have my elbow on my desk. That's really, really important. I hope that helps you out, but give yourself time to get comfortable with it too. Okay, the coin sword just won the poll. I'm ending the poll right now because y'all like to tie things up. Blaze says, you realize if you give us a third choice, it would be a three-way tie. It's true, that happened earlier on the stream. I was like, my God, you guys have like a hive mind. Alrighty. We are designing a coin sword. What is a coin sword? I'm glad you asked. A coin sword is a type of Chinese talisman. It's usually found in southern China, and it's hung over like the marital bed frequently as like a gift. It's like a money gift, right? But like all talismans, it's meant to ward off evil or malicious spirits. The coin swords are usually made of like 50 coins or so, up to 150. I'm not sure what the equivalent cash value of that would be, but they also use them in Taoist rituals. So all you need to know is that it is a literal sword made of coins and wrapped together. Pretty cool. So the first thing in order to make a coin sword is making a coin. So let's do that. I think I need to use a cylinder for this. This is fun because I don't do this very often. So this is that's why I want to do happy hours so I can teach you guys more stuff. Okay, this cylinder is not real. So when I go down to my initialize tab, I have more options than normal. So right here on initialize, I can actually create an inner radius. How cool is that? If this is actually a 3D model or Polymesh 3D in ZBrush, you don't have these options. So we're going to adjust this shape to get roughly to our coin proportions. That's just fine. And then I'm gonna go up to the top and click Make Polymesh 3D. I'm gonna make that skinnier. And now we have the beginning of this coin. The symmetry is really important for this because it is a coin. And I'm gonna wanna have symmetry on the top and the bottom. So I have I'm gonna transform here, and I enabled X and Z symmetry because the inner shape here of this coin is actually square. This would be easier to accomplish if I reduced the number of edge loops, but I didn't. So we're just gonna move very, very carefully to create this coin. And if it's not a perfect square, well, it's not perfect in real life either. There we go. We have, oh, it didn't do both sides. I am devastated. My day is ruined. No, I'm just kidding. All right, we'll do mirror and weld, and that should fix it. I really didn't expect that problem, which to me is quite funny. So I can do mirror and weld on local access, and that should fix it. It's being very stubborn. When I mirror it, stuff should be moving, and it's not. So I'm trying to figure that out. I think it's the y-axis. Yep, it is. All right, mystery has been solved. Did not take very long. There we go, fixed. Alrighty. K9 says, all right, I'm considering going back to the stand, and the arm, no matter what, how much I tighten it, it still shakes quite a bit while I'm sculpting. Oh yeah, that would drive me crazy. All right, does this look like a square? No, this is a rectangle. What is it? It's like all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. There we go. Good. All right, now we're gonna use a Z-modeler brush. This is not really a brush, it is a gigantic tool that they call a brush. When you hover over aspects of your model, you get this gigantic menu based, and it's actually like piece specific. So if I hover over a line, or so an edge, versus a vertex, versus a poly face, they're all different options. So there's 3 giant menus to contend with, all within the Z-modeler brush. I'm gonna say brush because it's not a brush, it's a tool. It's a magical tool. I want there to be a ring on the outside of this and a ring around this square. So how do we do that? Well, there's a couple different ways I can do it. I can insert an edge loop like this. That does a really good job. So we're gonna do that. And then I can Q-mesh a poly loop that I just extruded. Another annoying thing about this, or not annoying, it's just a thing you need to know. When you go to Q-mesh, which just means extrude or to move, add volume on an edge loop, there's a little tiny orange line. Can you guys see it? It's pointing up right now. Now it's pointing that way, up, that way. It matters which way it's pointing. So if I click and drag right now, we're extruding this way. But now if it's pointing to the right, it extrudes this way. I figured this out through blood, sweat, and tears. And instead of just watching a tutorial and having any semblance of patience, I just suffered. And I can now share this knowledge to you without the suffering. So I'm happy with this ring right here, but I actually do want this trim to be larger. So I'm going to inset this a little bit more. It's a little closer to my reference. There we go. And then we want that same form around the square. I actually like that's a little wobbly because the actual example is, milled, it's like blacksmithed, forged by hand. So it makes sense a little wobbly. Minnie Blaze says, ooh, a dragon stamp when you add the detail. Oh, I might keep this pretty simple just because we're gonna be adding a lot of them, you'll see. Foxy says, truly, wisdom is learning from other people's mistakes. It is true. For those that don't know, I do have a mentorship program where I teach people to use ZBrush. I do have mostly it's me talking to them one-on-one in like a Discord DM where I give them direct feedback. However, I've also made videos over the years to show them techniques like the Z-modeler brush, all that kind of stuff. I watch my own videos. I forget stuff all the time, and I literally teach myself when I forget things. Just a little fun fact about me. Alrighty, we're gonna go, so when I hit subdivide here, you'll notice that it gets all mushy, which is kind of fine, but it's kind of not. If you want to keep it really crisp like this, you need to crease your edges. You can do that with the Z-modeler brush, or there's a magical crease button I have over here on my UI. And when I click it, it usually does a good job. If you don't like the job that it did, all you have to do is like define the tolerance for where it will crease. But usually it does a good job by itself. We need to mirror and weld again because I keep forgetting to turn on symmetry. Yep, there we go. We're gonna make that coin squished. And we're pretty happy with this coin. Let's give it a nice bright color and let's also fix our scene, which involves bumping the brightness, increasing the contrast, enabling ambient occlusion, and changing our lighting. I could set all of this to a macro, I just haven't. Do you guys know what a macro is? You're about to find out. A macro is pretty much a button that you can create for yourself. So essentially what you do is like you say create macro, you click on a bunch of buttons and then map that to the macro. So now you'll have a button like this, like fixed mesh or whatever, any of these buttons here, and it will just do whatever you had recorded in the future. It's pretty cool. I used to use them a lot, and then my workflow is kind of simplified over the years, so I don't need it as much. All right, so this coin actually has kind of a imperfect surface from what I'm seeing. Let me show you the reference so we know what we're talking about. Whoop. Having a hard time moving this. There we go. This is the coin that I'm making right now. See? Looks pretty similar. I'm not gonna do the kanji. Is it kanji? Is it called kanji? I'm pretty sure. K-A-N-J-I. Whenever I don't know how to pronounce something, I usually spell it out loud on stream. Like, I'm not trying to condescend to y'all. I just don't know how to talk, but I can spell. No, that is a macaroon. I have a macro set up for die meshing a specific number. Very nice. That doesn't be, you know this already, but that's fun fact, that will not always work if the size of your model or scene is different. It drives me crazy that resolution is tied to the scene size for Dynamesh. Foxy says, a few years ago, I taught myself how to set up an entire second keyboard worth of buttons. Each is their own macro. The pointless skills you teach yourself. Wow. When I asked if you guys knew what macros were, I thought like maybe one or two. Got a person in here with a whole keyboard full of macros. I like it. A little unhinged, but I like it. And yeah, so we're not gonna do the inscriptions of the kanji, but we are gonna do the texture. And the reason for that is because one, I don't know what this says, and I don't want to inscribe my model with a bunch of words I don't know what they mean. That's a recipe for disaster. Two, it's going to be a coin sword that's going to be like this big when printed. And not only will the details not show, it's going to muddy up the design. The texture, however, will show. So I will add that kind of, not mottled, stippled? Stippled. I'm going to add dots. We're going to add dots. That's all I'm trying to say. It's happy hour. It's the end of the stream. I'm just, words are suggestions. All right. So I can have, we're going to mask just the inside here. So I can kind of texture this however, and I don't need to worry about screwing up the geometry I just created. That looks kind of silly, I realize, but we really just want it to be kind of like bumpy. Just a little bit. That looks good. And then we'll have some that are sharper. So we'll do another layer of this, but a little more intense. And maybe I'll... No, we're not gonna do that. We'll just add a few here and there, if needed. I already kind of like this really light model texture. There we go. Just adding a few sparse bumps. I don't know what would cause this in the forging process, but they are here. There we go. We now have some texture on this coin. And I'll add a few imperfections to the side if it doesn't look silly. I don't want to actually like distort it. I just want it to be not perfect. That's all. So I'm taking my trim dynamic brush here and I'm kind of adding a little bit of damage or wear and tear to this coin. It's really important when you're going to use a single asset to construct like an entire sword that you spend time on the asset. I know that sounds obvious. I'm mostly saying it for myself so I don't rush the process. Where is my symmetry? What is going on? X and Y. There we go. Sometimes I get turned around in 3D. That's about what I was wanting. Beautiful. We now have a rough little coin here. And now we're going to decimate it because it's currently 140,000 points. It doesn't need to be. Hey, Thomas is back. Hello, hello. Dots or dot like squares? Dots. The coin comes from a Chinese culture. Kanji is from the Japanese culture. That's interesting because what is this then? This is the reference. We're making a coin sword today, which I have another reference of. I know a bit about coin swords now, but this is the coin I'm referencing to create this thing. So yes. Hanja is Korean letters. Okay. Oh, it's Hanzi. Hanzi is Chinese. Kanji is Japanese lettering. Okay, I understand now. Thank you. For some reason was not clicking right away. I appreciate your patience and just continue talking. I will figure it out. But yeah, welcome back, Adamas. We have some improvements in the stream here and kind of like different segments. We're currently kind of looking at this happy hour section where I'm just making something from scratch after working on the main entree, which was a Hodag today. I do like this little coin that I made, so I'm going to put it into my organized folder under item. Yes, it's a lucky talisman sword for great fortune. Yeah, I was telling people about it earlier. Like, it's really common, like, to hang above like a marital bed, you know, like good blessings, to ward off malicious spirits, that kind of stuff. But it's also commonly used in Taoist rituals. They mention it's mostly prominent in southern China, which I'm not sure what the significance of that is. But I thought that was interesting. Chinese coin. There we go. Very cool. And Vinny Boy says, wow, Adamas is the linguist of the group. Maybe. So far, I'm back. What did I miss? What happened to Hodag? Welcome to Happy Hour. We're taking a break from the Hodag. The main Tavern's Keeper's craft part of the stream is finished, and now we're kind of winding down. After I finish working on this, my little mug is almost hit last call. That will be it for the stream. So this is kind of like a wind down. It's more casual. I kind of hang out with you guys and chat. But if you want, I can bring up the Hodag and show you. So we're gonna call this a coin sword. You know what? You didn't ask so far, but I'm gonna just put it up anyway. Happy Hour is just for us to revisit any part of the stream as we see fit. But this is what the Hodag ended up looking like during the main section, and I'm super proud of it. You guys were so helpful providing all kinds of cool references in our Discord. Thank you like usual. Let me make this a little larger and put a fun render on here. That way so far it doesn't miss out. So bam, that was our progress on the Hodag today. Oh yes, and my Discord people named him Billy. If you want to be part of Discord, just ask, I'll put in an invite. A wizard has transmuted the Hodag into a coin, you see. Obviously what happened. Thank you for clarifying, Foxy. But yes, that is the Hodag progress, and now we're winding down in our happy hour. Where is the thing that I just saved? The coin sword. Confused. I know I saved it. It's just hiding in a folder. Found it. I like the name Billy for him too. Yeah, it's very cute. All right, so now that we have this piece, it's time to make a sword out of it. Everything has proportions that make them recognizable, so instead of just like eyeballing it, let's just bring in a sword. This is my asset library of weapons, and it's gonna have the rough proportions of just a normal sword. So I'm gonna bring this in. Oh, and I went over it quickly, but yeah, I made all these weapons over the years. I know this broom is not a weapon, but gosh, isn't it cute? I store all kinds of stuff in there. I have all kinds of different asset libraries. Alrighty. So we have the sword here. Come on, select the sword. There we go. And we'll kind of use this as like a guide as we construct the coin sword. It's a little crooked in my scene, so we'll hit unify and then mirror and weld. See how that's made it perfectly symmetrical? And then furthermore, it's also a little goofy on this side, so we'll mirror and weld again. You can see what's wrong with it. Whoop. There we go. Let's get some color in here. It's gonna be this really beautiful, warm brass tone. And then this base, we'll make kind of a darker tone to hide. And then anything that ties it together will be that really bright, like classic red that you see in a lot of Chinese tradition. So far says, he looks so cool. Thank you, thank you. Adama says, a broom is a powerful weapon. You just have to have the skill to use it. You have to be proficient in it. Never underestimate the skillet. I see we have Makes me think of Tangled. Okay, now I need to construct this sword. So something interesting here is we have these little threads or ropes that wrap all of them together. So instead of being dumb and creating the whole sword and trying to tie it together afterwards, we're gonna tie up the coin now. Big brain. An easy way to do this is using my curved tube brush. Check that out. So if you hold down shift, it snaps right to it. Very, very satisfying. I did it kind of a wrong orientation. It's a little more up and down. So let's kind of get that accurate. There we go. And again, as I mentioned before, it's that really beautiful, vibrant red. That is not vibrant or beautiful. There we go. Beautiful, vibrant, rich reds you see in Chinese traditions, rituals. All right, so now that we have that coin and it's tied, happy hour is just about done. But I want to show you guys this really quick because I have a really fun trick to show you guys. And there's so many creators here that I know someone's going to benefit from this. Okay. When you want to duplicate things many times, you can just keep clicking duplicate on your subtool menu to death. So this button right here, I'm angrily circling it so you guys see it. You could click that 1,000 times, or you can bring up your 3D gizmo with W, hold Command down. So do not let go of Command. I will tell you when to let go of buttons. It's very, very important, the order. So hold down Command, click on an arrow or something, and then drag whatever spacing you want it to be. So I want it to be, they tie together on this square part, right? So right there. I'm gonna let go of Command, but not let go of my blue arrow, and then drag. Isn't that cool? And it's gonna like keep the same spacing all the way down. Pretty nifty. I made a couple mistakes here because who does things right the first time? The first thing I did is I had symmetry turned on, so it was a little goofy. And the second is I didn't have it spaced away from the coin, so it didn't lay quite right. There we go. They can't exactly intersect each other, right? So it needs to be more like that. And then we can do our trick. We click and drag. But how cool is that? I love doing that trick. I never get tired of it. That's roughly how we're going to assemble this. I have no idea where these strings right here came from. Probably symmetry I had earlier. Boop, delete. All right, that was our little quick coin sword demo. We are obviously not done. So be it. This is the happy hour and it is now over. We're moving on to last call. All right. This is the end of the stream. Thank you guys so much for being here. It was a really, really fun time. We worked on the Hodag today, the War Machine, and the coin sword. So let's do kind of a quick review. At this point, especially, we don't really have anything specific we're working on. We're just hanging out. If you guys have any questions for me, or if you've just been shy in the chat, don't be. Ask me questions. Join our Discord. Be part of the party. I'm gonna do a quick review here of everything we did today. So we opened our stream with a warm-up, which was actually just getting more progress done on this demonic war machine, which is quite different than what I normally work on. Check out this bad boy. Isn't that sick? This entire model detail process was done on live stream. The blockout was done off of live stream on a different day. But you guys click through my YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe, and then you can easily find my whole library of recorded live streams. I live stream almost every day, so there will always be something to watch or catch up on. If you want more information about how to learn ZBrush and stuff, feel free to ask. I do teach. It's $30 a month, and it's one-on-one mentorship. A few of my students are actually in the chat right now. After we got more progress done on this, we moved on to the main craft today, which is voted on by you guys. It was between a halfling monk and a Hodag, which is in Pathfinder, but in this case, it is the cryptid from Wisconsin. This goofy boy is what I have described here on today's order. It has a spiked body, it's a forest predator, and it's stout and muscled. And that's really all it really tells you. It looks quite ridiculous. They have a statue of it in Wisconsin. I'm gonna show it to you because it's wild. So yes, this is the statue they have in Wisconsin. Obviously, if you're wondering why the heck are you making this, that's a great question. This was a request on my Patreon. So I have I'm very lucky to have like almost over 400 people that support me every month on Patreon. It's why I can do this full time. And in exchange, I give them access to all my 3D printable models and they make requests. So I had a legendary patron request a Hodag, and that's why I'm sculpting it. It fits very well into tabletop, miniature, beast, it's gonna be super versatile. So I was happy to accept this request. And this is the progress we made. This was sculpted from scratch on today's stream. And I asked you guys 3 different questions. I asked about like what is its main mode of attack, and I think we settled on teeth and claws, but also some acid spit, which is why we have some drool. You guys picked yellow glowing eyes, in addition to a temperament that is aggressive and territorial. So that's why he looks tough. He could have looked cute and mischievous, but that's not what you guys wanted. So that's not what we did. But he was an absolute hoot to work on, and there was a lot of really, really helpful references you guys shared with me in the Discord. So thank you for sharing your creative ideas. It really takes a lot of the pressure off of me, and it keeps it fun. So I'm always very grateful for you guys for being here, but also for being part of the stream, voting the polls, all that kind of stuff. Adama says that came out very nice. It looks like the monster from the end of the Ghostbusters movie. It really did. Thank you. Minnie Blaze says, it is hard to believe all of that started out from a sphere. Nice. Thank you. That means a lot. It is scary for me to make something on stream from a sphere. It is. Like, I gotta I know I have a lot of streams where I show oh, I'm professional, I'm doing this for years and stuff. But at the end of the day, this is a performance, right? And it's on me to actually perform my skill and do the thing. So it is kind of scary to work from a sphere, and I'm really glad that you guys enjoyed seeing the process, and it feels good to be appreciated because it is hard work. It makes my brain run hot, quite literally. After we worked on this, we came down to happy hour to have our wind down. Our happy hour choices today were a lute and a coin sword. You guys picked the coin sword, and this is the progress we made on it. This is just a 30-minute sketch. This will probably become our warm-up for tomorrow's stream. And then our happy hour choices will be something else for tomorrow. Just kind of a fun little thing. So that's how our streams are going to be in the future. We have these 4 different sections here: our warm up, our main event, our fun little happy hour, and then finally our wind down. Our last call, I'll always run through everything we did on that stream. And then if there are any questions, I'll take them now. But I think that's a wrap. My streams are a little bit longer now. This is 2.5 hours. So I know it's a long show, so I appreciate you guys for being here. If you enjoyed the stream, please leave a like. It really does make a difference. If you really enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel. It tells YouTube that people like my stuff, and it keeps me doing this full time, quite literally. If you want to be more involved than that and have access to 3 printable models or make a request, that's where Patreon comes in. Again, I'm very, very blessed to have more than 400 people that support me there. I say 400, I really like to emphasize that number because that's 400 people that pay every month. That's huge. I never expected to have such a huge community that directly supports me. My husband and I are looking at buying a house this year, and none of that would be possible without the support that I have there. Obviously, being here on the stream is a huge part of that too. But I have to give special credit where it's due to my patrons because that's what keeps the lights on. So there are a few people in the chat right now that are a patron. I recognize your guys' names. Thank you so much. That deserves feeling affectionate, so hearts. If you guys have any questions about anything I talked about, let me know. Including what the Patreon even offers. I mostly summarize it, but if I missed anything, let me know. You can join it for free too, so no pressure. And the last thing I want to do is extend an invite to our Discord community. Because you guys are awesome, and most of you guys are already there, but if you want to see the behind the scenes chat, because we have a whole other conversation happening there about live stream references, that's where to go. I talk about it a lot during the YouTube stream, so if you guys are like, what reference is she talking about? That's where those pictures are coming from. I can kind of give you guys a teaser on just today, our live stream references. They named him Billy, first of all. But you can kind of see as I scroll up these references, you can see, again, I didn't share any of these. This is just my Discord community sharing all these pictures of what they feel like the model should look like. So this is why the horn shape is what it is. It's because of Mini Blaze. Kind of our nose reference. This is actually a historical, correct, 100% real and accurate picture of a Hodag. So yeah. I love bragging about you guys to you guys because it's a really cool thing we got going on here. And it is the only place you can put links and pictures. So if you want to share stuff, that's where you gotta go. All right, that is a wrap. Again, if you haven't already, like and subscribe. It matters. I'm finding that less painful to say. In the beginning, it just feels so cringy and weird to say that phrase. I don't know, it's just like being a real YouTuber. Anyway, I really appreciate it. It does make a difference. I'll be back tomorrow, and keep an eye out because I always put the stream live at least an hour or a day before I actually start streaming. And I do that because I put a poll in there where you guys can choose what I'm gonna vote on or what I'm gonna work on. So yes, as soon as you see that there's like a little preview of like, oh, Mia's gonna be streaming or M3DM's gonna be streaming, click on it because there's gonna be a poll for you guys to interact with always. All right, that's a wrap. I love you guys and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.